On the ground and set it over.
Hey, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done?
Beat your ass.
Giving you the biggest payday of your life.
Gonna push him.
Hey, what have I done? What have I?
Jake Paul could be very possibly afraid of his opponent's Tryon Woodley's latest training video clips. After Tryon Woodley lost 4 times continuously, a match with the famous but really young inexperienced YouTuber Jake Paul would be an awesome opportunity for Tryon Woodley. Tryon began his training camp just one day after the announcement of the big fight. Tryon seems to be wasting absolutely no time in getting ready for this fight. Being 39 years old, he shared video clips recently and also pictures to his Instagram and social media accounts, and he captioned "Champ in session, day 1 in the books." Tryon Woodley also posted a video clip of himself shown with one of his trainers going through and practicing his pressure drills. Both contestants seem to be training and practicing for the upcoming match. And recently, Tryon Woodley's training video clips are going insanely viral on the internet among the fans. The upcoming fight is a huge fight for Jake Paul too, because he will be attempting to knock out another former UFC fighter.
Yeah, he's pretty beefy. He's sharp, he's strong, he has knockout power. He's a 5-time UFC champion.
But Jake Paul looks very afraid after watching some of the former UFC champion Tryon Woodley's video training clips. And this brings Tryon Woodley's excitement of a profitable super fight restrained by fear of potential pullout from his opponent.
So this fight for me, what it means is, now I finally get the entertainment side I never really got in the UFC, or I never really got in mixed martial arts.
Welcome back everybody to another video on the channel. It's You Need to Know This, and today we're going to be showing you about Jake Paul getting very scared after watching Tryon Woodley's latest video training clips. Jake Paul, the famous YouTube star, has made it a mission of his life to play the role of a punch-worthy, annoying character.
MMA community or a boxing community, I'm gonna end Jake Paul and knock him out so we don't have to see any more of this clown anymore. And I'm like, bet.
And he fights in his matches where he gets paid a lot of money and takes part in matches that break records over and over again. However, we don't think that this is how Jake Paul normally acts. He just seems to be putting on an act for all the fans and also playing a villain role to sell the show. It seems he's doing a very good job and also going after Tryon, which led to the match eventually in the first place. Jake Paul's feat with Tryon started long ago when Jake Paul was fighting Ben Askren and Jake Paul was insulting Tryon Woodley for his meager boxing title during the traditional glove check. It was later disclosed that Jake Paul is ready to have a match with the former UFC star Tryon Woodley after a big amount of teasers and building up hype. The boxing match is ready to take place for Showtime Boxing on August 28th. But is YouTuber Jake Paul truly afraid of his fight with Tryon Woodley? But before we get into that, do not forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to our channel, as it really helps out this channel grow. The UFC champion would love to get his hands on the famous YouTuber Jake Paul, who he had a tight clash with earlier this year. Tryon Woodley ran into his opponent Jake Paul's locker room earlier to bring down Ben Askren, one of his good friends. And Tryon Woodley has not experienced success for 3 years now, although he looks pretty self-assured of winning his professional boxing inception. Tryon Woodley's training videos are really exceptional, and they also show him going around the gym to see what he's been doing. Jake Paul nevertheless has declared that he will come out above Tryon Woodley. Jake Paul seems to be putting in a lot of training and really seems to be working hard for his big match. In a face-to-face before the match meet, Jake Paul declared surely that if Tryon Woodley defeats him with a KO, Jake Paul would double his purse. To this, Tryon Woodley replied saying, "I will smack your butt in a funny way." Jake Paul looks very self-assured in this video clip, and he has no reason not to be so self-assured after he knocked down Tyron's best friend, Ben Askren. Although in a recent photo shoot, Jake Paul seemed to be very afraid of Tryon Woodley, as he never even looked at Tyron's face or eyes. He never made eye contact with him, and he only looked to the right side to the other cameras, which shows a sign of fear. On the other hand, all Tryon did was look into Jake Paul's eyes. In a recent press conference, the two fighters went face to face setting the upcoming fight, but Jake Paul kept losing focus. Tryon Woodley appears to be staring at Jake Paul, and Jake Paul takes a peek at the camera and then straight at the floor and looks away. Jake Paul seemed a bit uncanny and kept looking towards his right side, whereas Tryon Woodley retained his center at his rival. It appeared that YouTuber Jake Paul could possibly be afraid of Tryon Woodley at that moment, after seeing Tryon Woodley's video training clips online. Tryon then cracks his neck and rolls his shoulders as Jake Paul retains his eyes locked anywhere, but definitely not at Tyron's face. Next, Jake Paul shows 2 of his fingers up to the camera to try and look on face, but although it did not go as he planned. And all the fans on social media are saying that Jake Paul has bitten off way more than he can chew. One fan commented, Jake Paul knew that he had picked the wrong opponent. Jake Paul replied to this comment on a Twitter post saying, "I think it is really funny how your Twitter boxing critics, who have never ever been in a boxing gym a day in your life, yet you know everything about boxing. Only people that should be allowed to talk about the sports are the ones who have actually been in the ring." After the head-to-head with Jake Paul, Tryon Woodley tweeted on his Twitter social media account saying, "You are already scared, crapless." The pair were tangled into a heated back and forth disagreement in the dressing room that left Tyrone mad. And following their match on paper, it's the hardest fight of Jake Paul's young boxing career. Not too long ago, Tryon Woodley said to Mike Swig on his podcast that even though the contract has already been signed, he's afraid that his opponent Jake Paul might have an excuse at the last minute to not have his fight with his opponent Tryon Woodley. He as well talked about reducing the amount of training video clips that he uploads on social media, not to scare his opponent Jake Paul off.
Boxing is the only sport I've ever wanted to do before MMA. If my love for boxing was not there, I would have never even tried MMA.
That is as well the reason Tryon Woodley launched a campaign on Twitter with the hashtag anti-clause, picking out possible pullout and stop out pullouts from happening in order to pressure Jake Paul. Tryon Woodley actually names a few excuses that he is expected to hear from Jake Paul for not fighting him, such as having coronavirus or a fake cough. Tyrone's training video clips are most probably an indication that he is definitely on his way to his big day. The real deal is that now, how hard is Jake Paul working in his own gym? YouTuber Jake Paul has declared that he saw a new side of the ex-UFC champion when they had a face-off in private.
I think he just looked at me and just like knew.
Bro,
He just knew his destiny.
He experienced reality.
He knew the big right hand is going to come crack him in the skull and knock him out. I saw it in his eyes, man.
And he does not think Tryon Woodley will be able to stand up to his punching power during his match with his opponent. If Jake Paul will somehow manage to beat Tryon Woodley, then he will in the fullness of time beating a ex-UFC champion as well. Jake Paul, while having an appearance of Brennan Shaw Food Truck Diaries, said that he thinks that the opponent Tryon Woodley will not behave well to his early on punches. He further declared on the podcast that as soon as he touched Tryon Woodley, his body would go back to that loser mentality. Jake Paul next said, "Who's been putting some damage on him? All these guys put some damage on him. Gilbert Burns put damage on him. He is coming in as a hurt soldier."
Look, I bet him. I challenged him to a bet, and he didn't want to take the bet. So it kind of shows his confidence, and we did a little face-off.
This is absolutely crazy that Jake Paul is going up against Tryon Woodley, and if Jake Paul actually does beat Tyrone, he will have beat two UFC former champions, and he will get the title and have a better record. And with that being declared, it's the end of this YouTube video. But right before that, we wanted to know how you feel about this video. Tryon Woodley is not a member of the UFC roster anymore, later completing his contract, and he has lost his last 4 pro MMA bouts. Tryon Woodley has not at all had a pro boxing match. However, Jake Paul has had a pro boxing record of 3-0. With this information, do you think Jake Paul will take over Tryon Woodley and take another win? Do not forget to comment what you think below, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications, and make sure you give this video a like so you do not miss any more videos. And if we hear any more information about Jake Paul being scared of Tyrone, or if Tyrone says anything else about Jake Paul, we will update you as soon as we physically can on this channel, as fast as we can before anybody else on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe and turn on post notifications so you do not miss that information. Thank you guys for watching this video, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you and take care. Goodbye.